Hey folks, how's it going? This is Mr. Moray coming to you with a due now for Course 2 Honors for Thursday, May 21st, 2020. Okay, and this is one that I call Throwback Thursday because this seems like something you might have seen before, right? And indeed, this is a two-way frequency table. Now, if you don't remember, if you might be saying, huh? What do you mean, Mr. Moray? I don't remember this. Well, we haven't really seen them officially, like learning about them, since September 2018, believe it or not. But they're actually really important for something we're going to learn about today, which is conditional probability. So in this problem, I need you to use this table. So what I did is I went ahead and I surveyed, let's say, so to speak, these are 100 people that I talked to. And I asked them, on average, how many hours are you sleeping per night? And then I also asked them, between you and me, on average, how many hours a day are you spending on remote learning? Or in general, things related to school while you're at home. And that could be, doing your schoolwork. That could include hangouts. That could include, meeting with a teacher. That could include, even if you had to meet with a guidance counselor, I would say that counts, stuff related to school. And this was the two-way frequency table that I got. Okay, so for example, 13 people, or I don't know, how about 5 people? 5 people got between 4 and 6 hours of sleep and spent no hours on remote learning per day. Okay, and I can see that by looking at this 5 right here. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to answer for me these two questions. What percent of the students who slept an average of less than 4 hours spent an average of 0 hours on remote learning? And what percent of the students who spent an average of 0 hours on remote learning slept an average of greater than 8 hours? Now, in solving this, you need to look at the table closely. Who am I asking you to look for? What total am I asking you to look for? And of that total, which part of that total am I asking you to find? All right, so folks, take a minute, pause the video, answer these two questions the best you can. Remember, it doesn't have to be right, it just has to be your best try. Then when you're ready, unpause, and you can see what I got. Okay, so here we go. So what I have here is I need to figure out what percent of the students, so the students who slept an average of less than 4 hours. So the students who slept an average of less than 4 hours, that's 25 students. It's in specific, these 25 students spent an average of 0 hours on remote learning. And of those 25, 13 of them spent less than 4 hours, or rather spent 0 hours on remote learning. Now, you have to be very careful when you look at these because you have to remember, what am I asking you to find? So my hint was, who am I asking you to be looking for, right? A lot of people might say, well, I'm going to divide it out of 100. But did I ask, you got to be very careful when I read, did I ask for of the students or did I ask for a specific group of students? And the specific group I'm asking for are the ones who slept an average of 4 hours. So when you think about which students count, it depends. It's based on a condition. And that condition is that for the students to count, they have to have slept an average of less than 4 hours. Okay, so that would be 13 over 25 or 52%. I made these out of 25, all these totals out of 25 intentionally, so that it would be easy to calculate the percent. And then I'll circle the denominators because if I say out of 25, you'd be like, yeah, great, Mr. Murray, but which one? There's like 8 of them. All right. Now, what percent of the students who spent an average of 0 hours on remote learning slept an average of greater than 8 hours. So, what percent of the, okay, so basically so who slept 0 hours? So first of all, obviously it's not everyone. We know it's 25 people. Which 25? Well, these are the 25 people who spent 0 hours on remote learning. So if I'm asking about the people in the survey, right, for this particular question, well, it depends. Did they sleep 0? Did they spend an average of 0 hours on remote learning, or didn't they? Because only the ones who did would be counted for this question. So you could think about it as, well, these people here that I'm crossing out, they didn't spend 0 hours on remote learning. So these are not ones that I'm interested in. Okay? So if you look, of those 25, 2 slept an average of more than 8 hours. All right. So, here we go. I'm going to do 2 out of 25, and that is 8%. All right, so where are we getting at? As I've noted, these are what are called, if you don't remember, conditional relative frequencies. They're conditional because essentially, and by the way, I'll just highlight the numerator there. It comes from here. They're conditional because the people who we're looking at, right, the group we're focusing on, depends on something else. And so if you think about it, this is related to probability. How? Because if this table represented a truly random group of students, then if I was to choose a student randomly from this sample, it would represent the overall population. So for example, if I was to say, hey, I'm going to pick a kid at random, what's the probability that their student, or what's the probability that I pick a student who slept an average of less than 4 hours, and that student had an average of 0 hours on remote learning, right? The probability is 52%. Okay, so of those students who slept an hour, now here's the thing. If I'm interested in studying the students who slept an average of less than 4 hours, right, I'm not going to want to know about the ones who slept more than 8 hours, because those are not the students who I'm honing in on at that particular time. Okay, but that's the idea. We're going to move into conditional probability today, and just remember, we're really approaching probability on a very, very superficial level. For a more in-depth look at probability, I would encourage you to look at AP Statistics or Probability in Statistics, which is something you can take later on in high school. All right. So hopefully you're able to get these right. If not, please understand where the numerator and the denominator come from. We will have this explained in today's lesson video. But again, best of luck with everything today. Stay positive. Don't forget to love math. And remember, no matter what, you can do it. All right, folks, have a wonderful day.